Good day, and welcome back to another edition of A Mind Transformed Presents Golden Gems with the Garretts, Marriage Edition.
Woohoo!
You're back with your favorite couple. At least we should be by now. My name is Taven Garrett,
And I'm Katrina Garrett.
and today our topic is: are you partners or are you travelers?
All right, picture this. My husband and I love to travel, so I don't know if you've ever
Yes, we
rode on a
do.
bus or if you rode in a plane, but normally there are at least two seats where two people can sit next to each other.
Mhm.
The thing is that just because two people are sitting next to each other doesn't mean that they're partners. It could mean that they're just traveling in the same direction. So, what am I saying? You can be married, living in the same house, sleeping together, eating together, paying bills together, but you're functioning as travelers headed in the same direction and not partners.
So, what's the difference? Amos 3 and 3 talks about how can two walk together unless they be in agreement. It's not saying two people can't head in the same direction, but in order for you to be walking together, you must agree and have an agreed upon goal destination. What's your vision for your marriage? Last week we talked about the reset and allowing yourself to dream again. But there isn't any point of dreaming again if you don't have something you want to accomplish. Your dream is something you should share with your spouse. Let's do this year. So, do you have goals that you want to accomplish together? Do you have a vision? You should write down some things that you want your marriage to do or be in 2022. Put those things on paper. Share those things with your spouse. Come into agreement so you can partner together for 2022 and not just head down the road together.
I always hear about vision board parties. And a lot of times these vision board parties are people just writing out their personal vision for their lives. I very rarely hear a vision board for couples
Mm,
where a husband and wife come together and they write out their vision. There's nothing wrong with having individual visions, but we're saying that you still have to have vision for your marriage, things that you're going to work on and do together as a couple, because you can have a division, which causes division. Two visions is division, or you can have one vision. And my thing is, it is so important that you take time to have one vision for your marriage.
yes. When it talks about in the Bible where God made Eve for Adam as a helpmate or helpmeet, or a lot of different ways that that's kind of interpreted to be the same thing, the point is if you don't have a thing for your spouse to help you with, what are you allowing them to do? Right? Sometimes I hear people say that men have a vision and women color it in. But if you don't have something for your spouse to do, then what are you supposed to do for you to work together? And it doesn't mean that the man has to have a vision. It just means you should have something agreed upon. How can you invite your spouse into the most intimate areas of your life if when you look down the line, you see yourself accomplishing something and then your spouse is somewhere coming along the way? They're just in there somewhere, they're standing next to you. Give your spouse a vision, something to do. It excites them, especially men. I heard a thing the other day where it says women like to be needed. Have a vision. Allow your wife to have a place in it and watch what it does for your marriage.
Yes, we heard that from I think it was Apostle Despina's video.
It was. Shout out
Yes,
to Apostle Desby.
yes,
I
yes.
was I was saying it a roundabout way.
We got to get credit where credit is due. But yes, we want to make sure that there is a group vision. So take time, and that requires discussion.
Yes.
Because you might be dreaming again, and if he's dreaming about buying a big new home, and I'm dreaming about traveling, we're not together. So then we are setting these expectations, and we're setting ourselves up for failure because we're not unified on our vision. And we can do both, but we can't do both at the same time. So we have to take time to come together and have that dialogue together and prioritize, because when you have a lot of goals, you say, okay, well, what are we going to accomplish first, and make sure
Yes.
that you're both in agreement with that.
And that's the thing at times. Communicate those things as Trina made that point. And we talked about resetting communication a couple of weeks ago. It's not one you never want to assume your spouse knows what you want to accomplish because that can lead to conflict down the line where you're working to do one thing and your spouse is working to do something else, especially if you're trying to make a purchase of some kind or take a trip. Well, if your spouse took the money and paid off a bill and you were saying we were going to save that for the trip, now you have a reason to have a disagreement because you didn't communicate that. Even God tells us to make our petitions known, and He knows everything. Your spouse is not omniscient. So you want to tell those things to your spouse and you want them to agree. So you're partnering with your destination, not just hoping you'll wind up in the same place.
At the end of the day, we want you to be partners and not travelers in your marriage.
Absolutely.
Not headed just in the same direction, but headed in the same direction together.
Yes. And write that down and see what happens. You put a vision out there, you're giving something God that God can bless you on. Well, we thank you for allowing us to invade your space once again for another edition of A Mind Transform Presents Golden Gems with the Garretts, Marriage Edition.
Woohoo!
We'll see you next time. Be blessed.